Board of Zoning Appeal meeting of October 14th, 2020. This meeting is being conducted via Zoom, but it is an ordinary meeting held in the regular scheduled course, albeit with a different format. Will the clerk please call the roll? And we can begin.
Blonsky.
Here.
Ms. Manning.
Here.
Mr. Goodman. Mr. Jaffe.
Here.
Mr. Califf.
You're
Caleb,
muted.
your turn to be muted.
Mr. Califf.
Here.
Okay, I will, recognizing that Mr. Goodman indicated that he had previous commitment, I'd make a motion to excuse Mr. Goodman's attendance this morning. Is there a second?
Second.
Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Blonsky.
Aye.
Ms. Manning.
Aye.
Mr. Jaffe.
Aye.
Mr. Califf.
Aye.
Oh, sorry, repeat what I wanted. Oh, God.
Everybody good?
This is not Khalil Crawford. This is Tanisha Graham. I'm sorry, I don't know why his account is on.
No worries. If you could mute your sound until your matters before the agenda, that would be great. And welcome.
Thank you.
The first matter for today's agenda is review and consideration of the minutes of the meeting last held on September 9th, 2020. I had offered some modifications to those minutes, and I'll offer one more. I see in the record on the discussion Mr. Grand's application reference to Mr. Chuney, but I don't see Mr. Chuney listed as an attendee at the meeting. I would ask that he be added as an attendee. Are there any other comments or changes to the meeting minutes of September 9th, 2020?
No.
Okay, with that, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second that. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Blonsky.
Aye.
Ms. Manning.
Pass, I was absent.
Mr. Jaffe.
Aye.
Mr. Califf.
Aye.
With that, the minutes are approved. And Ms. Manning, good to see you.
Thank
Judge
you.
Manning,
Good to see everyone.
If you don't mind, I'd like to take one matter out of order, just out of courtesy. I know that at our last meeting, Carmen Protopapa was patiently in attendance for the entire meeting, and we took his matter last. If it would be okay, could we take that matter first today? Just if Mr. Protopapa is on the call.
I would just ask that if board members are inclined to do so, that we move that up by motion.
Yeah.
And then go ahead and hold the hearing.
Yeah, first I just want to see if Mr. Protopapa was on the call already. And he isn't. No need for a motion. Okay. So the first matter for today's agenda is item number 11. This is BZA 20-95. The applicant is Daniel Grand for a property located at 2343 Miramar Boulevard. Mr. Grand, are you present?
Yes, I am.
Thank you. Will you please agree to be sworn or affirm?
I do affirm. I will agree to affirm.
Do you affirm that the testimony you will give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. I affirm.
Mr. Grand, before we begin, if I can ask just a few clarifying questions so that we understand where we are procedurally. You had two applications for variance, one related to a driveway and the other related to an 800-foot variance for coverage on the lot, both of which were denied at the meeting of September 9th, 2020. You understand that?
More or less, yeah.
Okay. And you're now making a new application for a 720 square foot variance for a rear yard concrete pad for which you have submitted a new drawing, and you have also met with the City of University Heights. Is that also correct?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. So I will let you begin whatever presentation you'd like to make.
Okay, I just will read a brief opening statement with my request, and to all the University Heights Board of Zoning and Appeals board members, thank you for taking time to review my variance request. I'm requesting a variance for a single concrete pad with a total amount of 720 square feet. It is the length of the recent extension and ties into the walkway. It is in the rear yard of my property and will not be visible from the street. It will properly utilize draining in accordance with the site visit conducted by Mr. Chuney, the city engineer, on August 12th, 2020. The requested pad is more than 20 feet away from our north side neighbor, Ms. Newman, and is more than 100 feet away from our south side neighbor, Mr. and Mrs. Porter. The ground is sloped on the north side towards my house, so there will be no water traveling towards any of my neighbors. I've attached pictures A through F for overall perspective and to demonstrate the distance from our neighbors' homes, respectively. The drainage will eliminate any runoff, but the photos also show the sharp slope towards my home to guide any possible not drained runoff away from our neighbors as well. I've included documents 1 and 2, which are an email report of Mr. Chuney's findings, which in his words concludes, quote, "Therefore, I have no issues with the request by Mr. Grant to expand his patio area," end quote. And finally, I have included a detailed map showing the area of the request. Thank you for taking the time to hear my request today, Mr. Grant.
Mr. Grand, I want to clarify what documents we have in the record, and then I have a couple questions for you. I have a letter from you dated September 15th, 2020.
Yes, I just read.
I have a letter from Mr. Chuney dated October 6th, 2020. I have the photographs that you have identified.
The letter from Mr. Chuney from October 6th, I don't particularly know of that. I don't, is that the document, is it an email from August 17th that does it look something like this with the NA on it that I wrote?
No, it's actually a formal letter. It actually resembles this.
Oh, I don't have that in my possession.
I will read it into the record, so there's no confusion. This is addressed to the Honorable Michael D. Brennan, Mayor, City of University Heights. Dear Mayor Brennan, we have reviewed the proposed patio extension for this residence as it relates to drainage and the effect that the new concrete patio might have on the surrounding properties. It is our opinion the applicant has sufficient drainage provisions to control the runoff from the new patio, and we have no objections to this project. Very truly yours, signed Joseph Chuney, City Engineer.
Thank you.
So to continue with the documents that we have before us, I now also have an email from Joseph Chuney, which is dated August 14th, 2020. It looks like it's been edited a bit, but we'll accept it as edited. I then have a site plan, which indicates a total variance request of 720 square feet. It has some initials at the top. I'm not exactly sure what that says. It looks like MGB. Map. Okay, not initials. Thank you. I also have in our records an email from Mr. Chuney dated October 12th, 2020 to Kelly Thomas, the clerk of University Heights. And I have an email from Mr. and Mrs. Porter dated October 12th of 2020, which runs over 2 pages. Do you have that, Mr. Grand? Have you seen that as well?
I have not, and I do not.
Okay. Well, when the Porters, are the Porters present today? If they are, they'll have a chance to speak to that. Are the Porters present?
Yes, we are.
Okay, thank you very much. So these are all the materials that I have in the record. Is there anything else, Mr. Grand, that you want to add to the record? Are we missing anything?
Did you mention the photos that I had submitted part of my package A through F?
I did, sir.
They're there as well?
I did.
Okay.
One clarifying question. Is the application seeking a variance of 720 feet from the code, or is it seeking the construction of a patio of 720 square feet, or is there a difference?
Well, I think the house itself has a specific footprint, and the pad is really just to fit the footprint of the house, so we don't walk out onto the dirt. I believe the variance is based off of the premise that a single lot, regardless of its size, is allowed to have 300 square feet of concrete under the normal aspect of the permit process through the Department of Buildings. And anything over 300 square feet is required to come before the board, which is what we're doing.
Mr. McConville, is that your understanding as well?
That is, I would defer to Mr. Sonnenstein if he has a different opinion, but yes, that's always been my understanding.
Okay. Mr. Sonnenstein, are you present?
Yes, and that is what is required of the applicant.
I was going to first ask that you be sworn or affirmed.
I do.
Do you swear the testimony you will give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And Mr. Sonnenstein, if you could clarify as to whether or not this is a 720-foot patio or 720-foot variance request, or if those are the same thing.
It is a variance request. Anytime something over what is allowed, which is 300 some square foot, they have to come before the board to get a variance.
I think the question though is how big is the square footage area of the patio that's going to be installed? That will inform us as to how large the variance is.
I was thinking that too. Yes, its total size is 720 square feet. It's 36 by 20. I guess if 300 is permissible under an ordinary permit, then the additional leftover would be 420, which would mean the variance is for an additional 420 that it would not be able to otherwise have without the permission of the board.
That is correct.
Mr. Grand, that's my understanding as well, so I appreciate that clarification. So we will amend your application to indicate that you're seeking a 420-foot variance request.
Thank you.
Okay. Are there questions from members of the board? For Mr. Grand, and then we'll go to any neighbors or anyone else who wants to present.
No.
Okay. Hearing no questions, if any neighbors who, or anyone else who has any interest in this application could identify themselves and be sworn or affirmed.
Hi, the Porters.
Good morning.
Do you
Good
swear or affirm that the testimony you will give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
I do.
Thank you. You can proceed.
Hi, I just want to know exactly how this is different from the variance request that you denied at the last meeting. I mean, you denied two. So you denied the back. How does this differ exactly from the one that you denied?
I will say first and foremost, there is no application here for a driveway variance. And as
Well,
to
right,
the patio,
because-
Mr. Grand, if you could respond.
Right.
I'm supposed to respond to the question of how it's different. The last time that we had a request put forth, it was for essentially three components over two variances. One was in the front yard, which is the driveway Mr. Jaffe just referenced. And that would be one part. Another part would have been an approximate 270-foot walkway area, which would have been another pad to put condenser units on. And then this particular pad that we have here would be the third part. So it was actually a reduction of over 65% of the concrete we were requesting last time. So we were down substantially more than half of whatever we were asking for last time, actually more than 65%.
Okay, but I was already taking out the front. I mean, they were both two variances. So this is only a replacement for the back. So exactly how much less is this that you're requesting this time for the back slab? Exactly.
When I came here this morning, I was thinking with the incorrect language that it would be 720 square feet for the pad that we were requesting as a variance. And reality is it's 420 square feet. In light of that, it would be around 570 square feet less than what we were requesting last time if we do the math of the amount of the pads and the amount of the variance required for those pads to be approved.
I have a question.
Could you identify yourself and please be sworn or affirmed?
Oh, he was sworn in. This is Mr.
I was
Porter.
sworn in, Jeff Porter.
I'm sorry, I couldn't tell, Mr. Porter. I apologize. Please go ahead.
So Mr. Grand, you talk about all these plans that you've submitted, and you promised to submit plans on your landscaping and your drainage. And we've never seen those.
Yeah, just something that shows us, you just mentioned again, drains for the back that Mr. Chuney approved. So in this pad or in the yard, are there actually drains? We just haven't seen that, and that's all for now. Where are the drains?
And where are the plans for all the architect that you're gonna do on the landscaping that you promised? You've been promising this since last November.
I mean, with all due respect, there's a concept in my culture of not using the word promise or anything. It's called bli neder. I'm sorry, I don't agree that I ever promised anything. But at the same time, I would never use their language. But at the same time, I will say that the plans to show and demonstrate the request for the variance, which is what we're applying here today to do, and the plans that regard the drainage are one the same. And I apologize to you. I'm not aware that I'm supposed to deliver that information to you myself. I did submit the package, and it is available, I suppose. So I'm sorry that you didn't receive it, but I don't know if that's something I can be personally held responsible for. Is it?
Well, Mr. Grand, maybe you can help clarify a couple things. If everyone could turn to the site plan. And I believe the front of your house faces west. Is that correct?
It does, yes.
So we're clear now. The patio is the yellow concrete deck of 720 square feet for which you're seeking a 420-foot variance. And to the immediate east of that patio is already an existing 36-inch drain. Is that right?
Yes, and when Mr. Chuney visited the site and he had made the recommendation that this particular concrete pad, if approved, could be sloped in a minor way to have the water run towards a drain, which is something that it will do. Assuming that we have approval, it will do that. So the drain it does function, it will function, and it will serve as a utility to reduce any sort of rainwater and to bring it out through the storm.
So could you just tell me?
If I could, speaking of rainwater, could you turn to photograph C and E?
Just I apologize 1 second. Okay. C. Okay.
And C is a photograph that shows the framing for the patio that you're proposing to pour. Is that correct?
Yes, part of it, correct.
Okay, and this is looking now from east to west, and
Yeah.
it shows a covered drain opening. Is that intended to tie to the downspouts for the roof above?
I apologize, but when you say in photograph C, a covered drain opening, I
You
don't.
see right at the corner of the house, there's a white pipe coming up from the ground with a green cap on it?
It's actually, if you look, there's also a gutter system there.
Right. And so that's where the roof gutter will drain into?
It does.
Okay. Is it exist now? Maybe my photograph isn't clear enough.
It may not be clear enough. Yes, if you look closely, the detail of that photograph, there is a long vertical rain gutter, metal rain gutter that goes down the side of the house. It's active. All my gutters are connected.
Okay. And if we look at photograph E, we see another gutter connection towards the south side of this same patio.
That's true. And what you see there, that gutter connection is actually not a gutter connection. That's a clean out.
Well, I see two things. I see a gutter connection to the slightly to the left, and then a clean out slightly to the right.
Well, basically there are two green elements on the left there. One has the gutter pipe leading into it, And then the one that's leaning up against the vinyl of the house, there's another green spout. That's the clean out there. And then at the very bottom of that picture in the grass is a picture of the circular drain.
So surrounding at least 3 out of the 4 sides of this patio, there is a 36-inch drain and then 2 gutter runoffs.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. Okay.
Can
And
I
to
go
be
back to
honest,
my,
we're not privy to any of those pictures, so we have never, ever been informed that there's a drain in the yard.
That's why I'm trying to clarify the record.
Yeah,
I
through
I
all
want to make
these
sure
months.
everyone's on the same page.
Yeah, no one's ever mentioned this.
but you want to know something? Why is the
Please.
water still running off? And
It's
back
outside
to
of
my
my
original
jurisdiction.
question, Mr. Grant, when are you going to produce the landscape diagrams? Because after the first meeting, I submitted this. This is what I got into my mailbox. And by the way, the only people that can put mail in a mailbox is a postal person. So he can't walk on my property and deliver mail. But this is what I received. I'm having a landscape architect come to make sure I'm compliant with the sewer company's guidance for rainwater absorption and drainage requirements that may be. But just see it from my point of view. To please you all, actually have more non-permeable surfaces. He's saying we have more non-permeable surfaces.
No, I'm saying
But I submitted this into the portfolio of Mr. Grand's request. Now, we submit things and we don't get any response. He submits items and we don't get the items that he submits. Mr. Judy writes a letter to Mr. Graham, but he doesn't write a letter to me.
I think a
And
lack of
this is going
communication
back
is
since the
huge.
get-go. I mean, we're still having rainwater issues. He hasn't done anything with his landscaping, and it's a year later.
And the only document we have to work off of is that site plan, the big, huge piece of paper that Kelly sent for last meeting, which we received that Wednesday afternoon after the meeting.
And take a look at the corner of that right-hand
But there's
diagram.
not even the drain.
It's
that-
not
I
even an
want to say
architect.
something. Mr. and Mrs. Porter, I sent you by email the
Mhm.
plan with the agenda.
Right.
Friday, May 9th. That was all updated information.
It was much easier to look at when the actual document came in the mail, but on that document to the east of the yellow concrete deck, there's none of the drains that you're now referring to, Mr. Jaffe.
Kelly, let's clarify. First of all, I think you meant October 9th, Friday?
Yeah, on October 9th, I sent them the updated application by Mr. Grant.
And
Right.
did that
but-
include the photographs?
It included the photographs. I'm looking
Did
at
it
it.
include the drawing?
Oh, wait a moment, because,
It included everything that we just went over.
okay, so let me look, October 14th.
And that you see the drain.
I will admit, I'm going to be very protective of our clerk of the Board of Zoning
Oh, I
Appeals. If
totally
she said that she
understand.
sent things out, we're going to
Just a
accept that.
moment, please. I had it all organized because the answer to that would be that we only received the backup pages.
It was a
October,
document of 13 pages.
oh no, we never got that. I'm sorry.
On
We never,
Friday, on October 9th.
no, we received your cover sheet, that the date of the meeting, we received the second page is the Zoom login, and then all of the folks who were going to speak. We never received anything that you're now talking about.
Not by
Certainly.
email, by email, not mail, email.
Okay, let me look at my email, because if you say that you sent it, I'm sure you did.
I sent it to you, I sent it to Mr. O'Connor, Ms. Yelsky, I sent it to Councilman Ertl because he had spoken the last time.
No, just our, I mean, if you say you have it in your sent box, but I don't have it. The only communication we've had has
Could it
been
be
the
in mine?
email that I sent to you. Other than that, do you literally see in an outgoing box that you sent it to Vivian.Porter? Because then I apologize.
It went to Jeffrey Porter.
It went to Jeffrey Porter. Okay, well, no, because I thought we were communicating, but you sent it, she sent it to you, Jeff.
Okay.
So now we can open it, because we don't have any of this, so now Jeff needs to look at his email.
Okay, while you're doing that, is there
I
anyone else?
apologize.
Is there anyone else who'd like to speak to this matter, either a member for Board of Zoning Appeal or anyone else?
Can the city speak to, the building department speak to landscaping? And when the applicant submitted their plans for the addition, did Architectural Review Board look at landscaping? And is it required to sign off when you're done with the project?
Mr. Tierney, Mr. Sunstein?
I did not see a plan on that.
Mr. Sunstein, is a landscaping proposal required as part of the process?
Generally, no. They are required to do landscaping after the project is complete, but generally when a project like this goes in, they don't give a landscape plan.
Got it. But the landscaping needs to be completed and you sign off on landscaping when the project is completed?
No, we require them to do landscape after the project's completed, but it's not generally part of the building plan.
Got it. Mr. Grand, could you speak to the landscaping that you are proposing?
Certainly. I haven't been able to do any because we're still waiting. Hopefully this is our fourth meeting, and if it gets approved, I'll be able to do the concrete, which will allow me to grade and finalize this project, which I've been desperately trying to do. As you know, I've been here already 4 or 5 times, with all due respect. So it's a little hard because on one hand it's like, well, why didn't you, take out the garbage? But, I've been handcuffed. So it's sort of like, I want to, I really do, but I sort of can't until I have approval from the board, not the porters. With all due respect, the porters are not the ones who enforce laws here or create laws here and uphold the law. That's my job, and that's your job to do too, in that sense, with respect. And for me, what I'd like to see happen here is, remediation of the issues. I'd like to have a normal, decent living for my family and myself, and to make everybody comfortable, and to make the house a beautiful place, and for the whole community to enjoy, for everybody to come over and be friends. It's really the point, and I hope that's coming through today, particularly. And at the same time, to their, to their points of, the water, I will say 2 things. One is, the reality is, whatever existing conditions there pre-existing to my ownership of just January of 2019, any kind of construction work that we did, and this is a fact, and we can go look at it. Mr. Tooney's already said this on the record. He was willing to say it again. I'm certain, because it's true. No actual change to the architectural structure, the landscape rather. No actual change to the landscape has occurred in the parameters between the Porter's residence and my residence. The reality is, whatever issue he's speaking of, to what extent it exists and whether or not it exists, I won't dispute, but it existed before I ever was on the scene, and nothing that I did ever actually changed that to the better or the worse. Now, I was, in my mind, trying to be fair and equitable and understanding of their concern. I said I would add drain in the previous variance, but that all got shut down. This particular variance request, which I just want to reiterate for the sake of really seeing what we're dealing with here, this is over 100 feet away from the Porter's property line, over 100 feet away from the property line, probably 110 feet from where their house actually is, with all due respect. So this is the equivalent of having about 2 full 50 by 150 lot neighbors in between where I would like to put this pad and the Porter's home, just for a little bit of understanding. It's like the 4th neighbor down the block saying the first neighbor is doing something to them. I want to help everybody. I'll do what I can, but the drains are there for the concrete pad that we're requesting today with the matter before us and the instant request for this variance. The drains are there, satisfied Mr. Chuney, city engineer. Hopefully they can satisfy the board's requirements, and hopefully we can have this particular concrete pad approved so we can proceed. And once the concrete's poured and finalized, I'll be grading the entire property.
Mr. Jablonski, any other questions? Mr. Califf? Judge Manning?
No.
I guess I do. I'm sorry. I do have a question. Mr. Chuney came out personally, did he not?
Yes, he did, ma'am.
And he inspected the property and felt that this letter indicates that he felt that the additional drainage that you were installing, and I just want to make sure I'm understanding this correctly, because I read through the minutes, but I did miss the last meeting. He also indicated that the pad is going to be sloped to a certain extent. Is that correct?
I think there's a distinction to be made between what happened in the last meeting. There was 3 concrete pads in the request at the last meeting that were part of 2 variances.
Right.
It was all shut down. The matter before us today is for 1 concrete pad. That he did speak about too. The sloping with the drainage to be added was regarding the front pad, which is not on this agenda. We are not touching.
I see. Okay.
But we do have a drain, which will allow for the concrete pad that we are requesting today to have a pitch so that it does go towards the drain that is an existing but functional and adequate drain. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. That clarifies it for me. That's my only question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other neighbors or any other interested parties who wish to address this matter?
Another question, please.
From the Porters,
I'm
yes?
Jeff Porter, and I'm taking a look at the picture that was sent to me. And I'm looking specifically at that drain. And my question is, when did you install that drain, Mr. Grand?
Like I mentioned, I said the drain was existing, but when we did the excavation for the house that we built, the extension on the south side, then we had to run all of the pipe work, which we referenced in one of the photos where there was all the green elements sticking out of the ground where the leader pipes go into. So we had removed all the ground. We tested the line. We checked to see that it did function, and I visually confirmed it, and my concrete guys who were there did it, and my contractor who was there did it, and it's a fully functional operational drain. Mr. Chuney was also satisfied with it, and it's solid.
So was the drain scoped, cambered?
It was scoped, yes.
Do you have the results of that scoping and the video of that drain?
The drain came up with the results that it was a functional drain. It works.
No, I'm asking you, okay, if it was scoped and cambered, and you said yes. And I said, can we take a look at the video of the scoping and the camera? When they do that, they give you a video.
Well, I don't know about it.
So where's the video?
I'm sorry, I don't understand the line of question.
Well, I'll clarify. First of all, I don't believe that videos are always done. I think that they're done at the request of the owner, and there is no video submitted into the record here, and there's no requirement that a video be submitted into the record here.
But sir, my question is this. I've been saying this from the get-go with Mr. Grand. There's been water issues all along. He used to say that you could hear running water. And then in one of the meetings, he said it was a facade on my part that there's water running in his backyard. And I try to explain to Mr. Grand, there's all kinds of drainage in that backyard when they installed the swimming pool and all the kids played in that section of the yard. I try to explain that to him, but he did the construction and never upgraded it.
Mr. Chuney, are you comfortable that it's a working drain? Mr. Chuney, are you there? Okay, Mr. Gerard, I'm sorry, Mr. Grand, you're comfortable that it's a working drain and you've had it inspected?
I know for a fact, and again, I affirm under oath, everything I say here is accurate and true. I did have a scope company come. They had a long tube, like a rolled out kind of hose looking mechanism with a little pin on it. They put the thing through to follow the pathway to how it connected to the sewer line, to the storm line. The findings were that all of my draining throughout my entire house is functioning the way it's supposed to be, clear of all debris. It does collect water. All of those pipes are functional, currently active, and will continue to be active as I upkeep my home. And I don't think that this is really too relevant to the Porters, because the pad and the variance that the matter before us is over 110 feet away from them. That's three properties away from them. This is not anywhere near them in respects to anything that could happen. They're worried about rainwater from another side of the house where we share a fence line, but that's not the matter before us today. And I already said, and I'll say it again, I'm looking to do this the right way. And once I'm approved, if God willing, I'm approved, if the board decides I am, that I can go ahead and begin to do the work I need to do before the cold season, God willing. I will be grading the entire property as a courtesy. I don't even know if really I did anything to the Porters other than one day he just comes over to my property and starts to tell me all about how there's these draining issues that I should be aware of. I've been subjected to this sort of communication from Mr. Porter. I think it speaks for itself, but with all due respect, I think I've been very hospitable in hearing his concerns and requests. But please bear in mind, this is almost 120 foot away. It's like half a football field away from him. So I don't know.
I'm going to say, Mr. Grand, I appreciate your candor. The Porters, Mr. Ertl, and everyone else who spoke at the previous meetings. I hope that people can, regardless of the outcome of this matter, I hope that people can tone down the rhetoric and improve the relationships.
Me too.
But I appreciate the cooperation that everyone has shown in speaking their minds candidly and presenting the documents and the evidence as best they can. Is there a motion from any member of the Board of Zoning Appeal?
I'll move to approve the variance request as submitted for the it's essentially a 420 foot variance.
Second the motion.
Will the clerk please call the roll? I'm sorry, Kelly, you're on mute.
Mrs. Jablonski,
Aye.
Ms. Manning,
Aye.
Mr. Jaffe,
Aye.
Mr. Califf.
Aye.
I wish everyone good luck in moving this project forward, and if it doesn't snow until February, that would be fine with me.
Thank you very much, one and all. May I ask one question I'm just not clear on, and I'd like to be clear on, if I may? Thank you very much, all. The variance meeting ends today, and then am I essentially allowed as a right to continue the project Monday? Can they start to work and pour, or is there a waiting period, or is that something that we don't have to wait because there's been so many meetings and everybody's had a chance to speak? I just want clarification on that so I don't do the wrong thing.
Mr. McConville?
Well, two things. One is you have to obtain a building permit. The second thing is that any aggrieved party does have a right of appeal to the Court of Common Pleas. That appeal period is a 30-day period. The Court of Common Pleas, if there's an appeal, would consider the matter on the record presented to it by the city. In other words, they're not conducting typically a hearing de novo or an entire new hearing. They're looking at the record that was created at the city level to see whether or not there was justification for granting the variance. It would be at your risk if you began, your construction efforts and an appeal was filed and the Court of Common Pleas made an adverse determination. There is case law out there in which construction that's been begun has had to be undone based on a zoning decision by a Court of Common Pleas.
And that's an ultimate time frame of 30
30
days?
days.
Okay.
So again, to clarify, you need the permit first.
Clearly, yes, I believe we filed a permit in respect to
There's
that.
one other thing, just again to clarify, it's not 30, it's going to be 30 days from adoption of the record, and that is when the board approves its minutes, which will be at the next meeting.
Okay.
So that appeal period is actually, as a practical matter, longer than 30 days. It's 30 days from approval of minutes at the next meeting.
Okay.
Thank you all very much. We'll move on to the next matter. Item number 12 on today's agenda is BZA 20-96 for an application at 4451 University Parkway. The applicant property owner, I'm sorry, is Stephen Maltmacher. The applicant is architect Rebecca Furkel. Who is present to speak to this matter? Furtel, not Furkel. We'll just change the spelling of your name in the application.
Thank you.
Ms. Furtel, if you could be sworn or affirm?
You swear or affirm that the testimony you will give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I affirm. Stephen Malzmacher is also on the call.
Mr. Malzmacher, if you're planning on speaking, could you also raise your hand and be sworn or affirmed?
You swear or affirm that the testimony you will give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I affirm.
Thank you. Applicants may proceed.
I wanted to clarify something on the variance request. It says that there's a variance for the deck. To my knowledge, the deck does not require a variance. It is within the lot coverage, the maximum allowable lot coverage. But the 300 square feet is what is counted, what is not included in the lot coverage count. So the additional 188 square feet is counted in that lot coverage calculation, but it is not a variance. The variance request is just for the bedrooms and the kitchen and the basement.
Okay, I'd like to ask the city or the law director's confirmation of that before we proceed with everything
And
else.
I would defer to Howard on that.
I can cite the chapter if that helps.
Please.
It's 1250 6A, where it discusses the maximum lot area. And it says it's 25%. I can't read it. I'm just paraphrasing. And it says unenclosed decks are not included except to the extent that they exceed 300 square feet. So the lot area, lot coverage calculation includes the overage of 300 square feet. So if it's 488 square feet, 188 square feet is counted in the lot coverage calculation. But we're still within the 25% with that additional square footage. So there is no variance required.
I think that's correct. And the language in 1250-06, just for purposes of the record, says the maximum area of any lot that may be built upon shall be limited to 25% of the total lot area, excepting that the permitted building area on lots with an area in excess of 6,000 square feet shall not be less than 1,500 square feet. In calculating the building to land ratio, unenclosed decks shall not be included except to the extent that such unenclosed decks exceed 300 square feet.
Okay, so the sole variance that is being requested here relates to the basement and the anticipated 4 bedrooms and kosher kitchen for Passover. Is that correct, Ms. Furtel?
Yes, correct.
Okay, if you can proceed on those.
So the homeowner wants to fit out his basement with guest rooms and a Passover kitchen, and he's aware of the requirements of the city that they not be used for income generating purposes and only be used exclusively for guests, and the Passover kitchen be used exclusively for Passover. So I explained that to them, and they're aware of these requirements. And I know that there were some conditions that in previous projects I presented before the board, that there were some conditions that you require. I guess it really is more of a use variance than an actual area variance. So in this case,
Has everyone on the board had a chance to see the drawings for this house? Other than the applicants, is there anyone else on this call who'd like to speak to this matter? Any neighbors or anyone else? Okay, then I have a few questions. What is going to be the total square foot of the house when it's completed?
I do not have that information in front of me. I could forward that once I do that calculation.
Okay. What's the footprint of the addition? Do you know that?
Yes. The footprint is 675 square feet. That's the addition.
And once completed, this house will have 6 upstairs bedrooms and 4 basement bedrooms. Is that the plan?
Yes.
And a kitchen that will only be used for the holiday of Passover. That's also the plan, Mr. Maltmacher?
Yes, that is.
How many people currently reside in the house?
Well, I've me, my wife, and 5 children.
4 bedrooms is a lot. Ms. Fertel, you've been before us before for requests of 1 or 2 bedrooms. I'm wondering, why are we 4 bedrooms on this time?
The homeowners can speak to that, but basically they have a lot of family from out of town who come to visit and they want to be able to entertain them in comfort. Additionally, there are 2 bedrooms in the project. They may not actually be constructed because the 2 that are being fit out in the existing footprint of the house are planned to be in an existing crawl space, and depending on the cost of the excavation, they may not actually be pursued, but they wanted to, but we wanted to get the approval in case they do go forward with that.
I look at the drawings here. I think 2 of the bedrooms are adjacent to each other. The other 2 are independent, and you have 3 new means of egress. I'm sorry, 3 new means of egress from the basement.
Right, that's a requirement for a bedroom. In the basement, you need an egress window. So each bedroom would have an egress window. And the 2 bedrooms on the left side of the drawing that are in the existing footprints may not end up becoming fit out depending on the bid. The project is being bid presently. So depending on the cost for that work.
Oh, I'm sorry. So my mistake. There are 4 egress. There's 1 off of each individual bedroom.
Yes, sorry, there's 4. Each bedroom has an egress window.
Okay. And what are the plans for appliances in the kitchen?
They're going to be, well, some of the appliances will be reused from the existing kitchen, but there's a wall oven, cooktop, and 2 sinks.
The craft room that's down there, does that have any appliances in it?
No.
That's more of a storage space, Mr. Maltmacher?
Yes.
Are there any other questions from any other members of the Board of Zoning Appeals?
Yes, I have a question. Can the city comment on the email from Mr. Chiuni about the drainage subject? Is there anyone from the city who can address drainage?
You're referring to the email
Yeah, there's a
October
letter,
6th,
there's an
2020?
email from Mr. that he cannot determine the drainage patterns.
Right.
So I just want to know, is there an impact? I mean, there is an additional coverage. It seems like the house is being expanded on. There's it's blown out on one side for where the bedrooms are, where some of the bedrooms are, correct?
Yes.
I mean, if Ms. Fertel wants to address that first, and then we get the city to comment.
So this would be on the western side of the property? Is that right?
Yes, correct. So I did provide, Mr. Chiuni asked for a topographical information for the property in order to evaluate it. I provided him with some topography that was available on the county GIS website, and some estimates as well. And I also added a note just saying that the runoff needs to be contained within the property limits. I did not hear back from him before this meeting. Additionally, like I mentioned, the variance is not for lot coverage. So therefore, the city engineer would not be reviewing this if not for the variance request. So really there's no, I mean, I don't really see why this project is different than any other project in terms of drainage.
I assume that once you have ultimate drawings that you're going to have gutters and downspouts for the new addition to the house. Is that right?
Yes, all the roof runoff will be addressed via downspouts to the city's storm system.
Okay. Here's my concern. 10 bedrooms in this house, and matter of safety, parking, and occupancy. Mr.
Mrs.
Malzbacher,
Howard, and yes,
I'm sorry? Mr. Tooney, was that you?
I think it was Howard.
Okay. Mr. Malzbacher, what is the I understand that right now you want to build 2 of the bedrooms. You want the ability to have a permit for 2 additional bedrooms, costs being considered. What is your plan for how many people are going to be at the house, living in the house at the same time?
So, I mean, what we're trying to do is really create a situation where we have a forever house that we want to put roots down University Heights. And my wife, as Ms. Fertel mentioned, has a large extended family. And we like to get together a lot during the holidays. And we just want to make sure that, we have the ability to accommodate these guests for, that 2 or 3 week period of the year. And, we have rooms for our kids to come back as their families grow. So, I mean, that's really the thought behind it. We had extra room, and it's not something that, we'd have people living there year round. It's really just something that we'd be able to accommodate people when they wanted to come to visit us. And, families are very important to us. We just wanted to make sure we had the room.
Restrictions that Ms. Fertel previously referred to that we have asked owners to voluntarily agree to with respect to a Passover condition are threefold. The first is that would you agree that the use of the Passover kitchen would cover only the holiday of Passover, 30 days plus 30 days before plus 14 days thereafter?
Yes.
The second is that in the event any additional fire or CO detection equipment is recommended by the city because of a basement kitchen, that you would agree to provide those as well.
Yes.
And the third is that any appliances, including any lightweight or portable appliances that are added to the kitchen, all have underwriter's license certification that they not be unlicensed appliance.
Yes.
Okay. I appreciate those. Any questions or any other thoughts from members of the Board of Zoning Appeal?
I do have a question. Ms. Rebecca, Ms. Fertel?
Yes.
Hi. The 2 bedrooms that you were referring to that may or may not be, I'm not sure what the word is, built, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm assuming those are the 2 bedrooms in the basement addition, yes?
No.
No.
No, they're on the left side of the plan. The walls that are kind of shaded, those are that's the new addition footprint. And
Right.
the walls that are white
Right.
so they're the 2 bedrooms on the left side that are within the existing house footprint. They would be fit out of an existing crawl space.
I see. Okay.
So it's bedroom number 3 and bedroom number 4?
Oh yes, that's an easy way of identifying them. Correct.
Thank you. Okay.
Is there a motion from anyone on the Board of Zoning Appeals? I'll make a motion. I will, subject to the owner's agreement to the conditions set forth with respect to the kitchen, I will make a motion to approve the variance request allowing 4 guest bedrooms and a kosher kitchen for Passover on the basement level of the home as part of the addition and new construction.
Mr. Jaffe, just for purposes of the motion, if you could clarify those conditions on the kitchen. I know you went through them, but
Yes.
I want the
Once
motion to reflect that.
Once again, the 3 conditions on the kitchen are the first with respect to time. It would allow a usage of up to 30 days before the holiday of Passover, through the holiday of Passover, and up to 14 days following the holiday of Passover. So basically set up, use, and clean up. The second would be the addition of any fire or carbon monoxide detection equipment as recommended by the city because of the addition of a basement kitchen. And the third is that all appliances, including all portable appliances used in the Passover kitchen, have underwriter license certification. And the owner has agreed to all 3 of those.
Thank you.
And just to note for the record, those are consistent with what we have previously requested and received owner consent for with respect to any Passover kitchen in the past several years. I've made a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Jablonski,
Aye.
Ms. Manning,
Aye.
Mr. Jaffe,
Aye.
Mr. Califf.
Aye.
Okay. We wish you very good luck with the project and presentation to the Architectural Review Board.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the time.
Next item on today's agenda.
Mr. Jaffe, did you want to try to do number 15 next, again?
We can, sure.
He's on the phone.
Mr. Potapapa, are you on the phone?
Yes, I'm here.
I'll make a motion that we take item number 15 out of order and address that next. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Mrs. Jaffe, Mrs. Jablonski,
Aye.
Ms. Manning,
Aye.
Mr. Jaffe.
Aye.
Mr. Califf.
Aye.
Mr. Potapapa, we tried to take you out of order as a courtesy because you sat through a long board meeting last time, and we're trying to save you some time.
Thank you.
Item number 15 is BZA 20-76 for an application at 13810 Cedar Road. There has been a notice of violation from the Building and Housing Department regarding a gravel parking area. And you are seeking to appeal that notice of violation. Is that correct?
That's correct.
You have submitted a drawing to us indicating an area that is previously gravel on which you want to place asphalt, approximately 20 by 40 foot trapezoidal area. Is that right?
Yeah, that's a good way to describe it.
Maybe 20 by 50 feet.
I'm gonna ask Mr. Protopapa to be sworn. Do you
Excuse me.
Swear or affirm the testimony you will give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Mr. Protopapa, what would you like to tell us about your application?
So the couple of drains that you can see that I highlighted, the one that's in the asphalt was visible, but then the 2 that are in the gravel area were actually buried. And so the majority of the area that I graveled turns into a swamp kind of after it rained. So it would be pretty difficult to, park cars in the grass if there was ever any guests or anything like that, similarly to what other neighbors do. And as soon as I added the gravel, that whole issue went away. I exposed both drains and very dry now. So I think I kind of fixed what was going on. I don't see any issues with more water accumulating in my neighbors on either side. So other than that, I mean, it's pretty obvious. My goal here is to not have to undo all this work.
Mr. Protopapa, this is a single or two-family house?
It's a duplex.
Okay. And you have residents in both units?
No, I do not. I'm currently living in one unit and just trying to prepare for the future. I'm trying to move out of here probably within the next few months. But I just, you know, I've lived here for 6 years and I see exactly what happens in the winter. And when you have even 4 cars parked in these driveways, it gets pretty messy in the winter. There's very little area to plow the snow then and try and park. So
Mr. Protopapa, the notice of violation that you received that's dated June 12th of 2020 asks that you remove the gravel parking area and that you reseed with grass or apply for a variance. You understand that?
Yes.
I will express my opinion, and I look forward to hearing from other members of the Board of Zoning Appeal, but I'm not eager to see expanded parking lots in the back of people's homes, even if they're two-family homes. Why not just plant grass and make it a backyard like everyone else does?
Are you asking me, or is that just a comment?
No, that's a question.
Oh, well, as I just stated, you know, I'm not going to be able to have total control on what my tenants do when I'm not here. And I know that they will be parking in the grass at some point. And so I just don't want the grass to get completely destroyed. I sort of saw that happen on my neighbors to the right one winter, where the neighbor got stuck in the grass and actually had to use my driveway to get out too. So I'm really just trying to avoid that. I know as soon as I put grass back there, it's going to kind of turn into a swamp. The neighbors on the left, their driveway also kind of slopes a little bit towards my property, just from, you know, settling over the years. So really it will make it a more desirable location to live as well. I know that's always parking's always a struggle on Cedar Road. You can't park overnight. So I really think it will increase the value of the property. I definitely don't think it will decrease it.
Are there other members of the Board of Zoning Appeal who have any questions or
I have
comments?
a question about lot coverage. Maybe the building department could help out there as far as what the coverage would be if this were to be, I don't know if you consider gravel or if it was asphalt, what would it be?
Not sure of the coverage, but it would need a variance in order for there to be not grass. And that's what was brought to the attention of the city the first time, because the neighbor was trying to install something like this and was denied by this board, and then she pointed this out.
And I think that Ms. Jablonski is raising, you know, another issue here that I think we have considered in the past. There's first of all the issue that's similar to the initial grand proposal, if you will, where the driveway is being proposed as being wider than the garage. And that's the variance from 1478-24. But typically, we've also looked at total lot coverage where you're adding impervious surface. And, you know, we often receive a square foot calculation of that lot coverage so that we can determine whether it exceeds the 25% or not.
I actually included that in my
Yeah.
plans.
It's on the last page. I just don't know, I didn't know where these numbers came from and if the city had looked at it and made a calculation based on these numbers.
Yeah, I'm gonna, Mr. Protopapa, the last item with the 738 feet is the area that you're proposing to asphalt.
Correct. New area to asphalt, currently gravelled.
That's the white piece.
Correct.
I'm eyeballing. If your driveway is 1,500 square feet, this is less than half of your driveway.
Yes.
I
My
don't see
driveway.
anybody out here.
It's an alarm test, right?
Yeah.
And it was, what was the number?
100 and 210.
Whoever does not have their phone muted from the city,
Left
if you
a
could
message.
mute, that would be great.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. FIBA security.
Is it for an acceptance or an annual?
I think it's an acceptance.
Howard,
Hold on one second.
can you please mute your phone, Howard?
Thank you. Mr. Blonsky or Ms. Mann and Mr. Califf, any other questions or thoughts?
Well, I'm looking at it, and if you look at just the grass and flower beds, and you take that and you, with the lot size, I mean, that's 34% is only 34% is grass and flower beds.
And I assume that includes the front yard? It can't possibly be the backyard.
No, it must be the front yard.
Yeah, I think if you do the math on the house, the driveway, and then you add the new area, you end up with 54% lot coverage.
Mhm.
So I think you would be looking at, you know, a 29% variance.
So to clarify these concerns, the first is that the driveway width would exceed the proposed driveway width would exceed the width of the current garage opening. The second is that an area which would ordinarily be covered with seed is now covered with gravel and proposal to asphalt. And the third is with the asphalt coverage, the total lot coverage is now going to go up to 54% of the total lot.
Correct.
Those are significant concerns.
This, if I guess my question, and I think this is basically for the board to maybe give me a little bit more information. This issue was tabled, correct?
Yes, at the last meeting, we did not have the drawing.
I see.
And the drains had not been identified. I think there were some concerns overall expressed about the project, but we wanted the applicant to come back and give us a more fulsome picture.
Okay, and so coming back, what you're doing is, well, not you, not the board, this is for the homeowner. They're taking the area that was inadvertent, well, against well, that was the subject of the violation, I guess is the term we would use, and turning that to asphalt as opposed to gravel. That's basically, in pretty terms, that's what he's
right.
requesting.
They were cited for gravel,
Right.
and the appeal is to ask to put in asphalt.
as opposed to grass or any type of vegetation back there. Okay, thank you.
Is there a motion from the board? Judge?
I'll make a motion to deny the request.
I'll second. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Ms. Jablonski,
Aye.
Ms. Manning,
Aye.
Mr. Jaffe,
Aye.
Mr. Califf.
Aye.
The request for variance is denied. Returning to the schedule as established, item number 13 is BZA 20-97 for an application at 13798 Cedar Road. The applicant is Tanisha Graham. The property owner is Anshul Epstein. And Ms. Graham is seeking a type A in-home child care permit to allow for up to 12 children to have under the age of 6 to have child care. Ms. Graham, are you present in this call?
Yeah.
Could you please raise your right hand and agree to swear or affirm?
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you will give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
And Mr. Epstein, I see that you're on this call as well. Are you planning on speaking to this matter? If you could raise your right hand and swear or affirm?
I affirm. Or affirm the testimony you will give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I affirm.
Thank you. Ms. Graham, if you could tell us about your application.
Okay, so at present, I have a type B in-home childcare, but I would love to accommodate at least 3 more children. So, in order for me to apply for a license through ODJFS, I would need the approval of the city with the type A.
Ms. Graham, it's my understanding that this house is 2,368 square feet and is a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom house. Is that right?
I have no idea, Mr. Epstein.
Mr. Epstein, is that right?
But she has the entire 3 floors.
Okay.
But the childcare, or we call it childcare, is the 1st floor only. 2nd and 3rd they use for their own living.
Okay. Is this a 1-family house or a 2-family house?
It's a 2-family with a 3rd floor, with an occupied 3rd floor.
Is there any cooking facilities on the 3rd floor?
No.
Okay. And are there 2 families residing in it now, or there's 1 family occupying both units?
It's just me with the entire house.
Tanisha and the entire house with a potential very close to sell it to her.
Okay. And so, Ms. Graham, you live in the 2nd and 3rd floor, and you operate a daycare service in the 1st floor?
Yes, I live in the entire house.
Okay. Do you live in the 1st floor as well?
Yeah.
And what hours do you
It's even though it's broken down into 3 different units, I have made it into 1.
How long have you lived there?
4, 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how many children do you have in your child care program now?
I have 5. 4 families, 5 children.
And your license allows you up to 6?
I don't need a license with a type B, but I can operate only with 6. I want to go ahead and get the license for a type A as opposed to a type B, but I would need the city's approval first.
Okay.
Do you have any employees?
Yes, I do.
How many employees do you have?
I have 2 persons that help on a part-time basis. Yeah, 2 persons. And my mom moves here soon, and she would be living with me and helping.
What hours do you operate childcare?
From 7:45 until 5:15. My parents have specific drop-off and pick-up time so that only one family is here at any given time. They are all at 15-minute intervals.
What else would you like to tell us about the application before we hear from the city?
I mean, that's about it roughly.
Okay.
I would say I approached the city and I talked to the commissioner about a potential to absent landlords selling properties to young families to move into all along Cedar Road. Like originally it used to be that the owner was occupying one floor and to give them tax abatement. And as soon as I brought it up, he said, the city is in dire financial situation. There's going to be no incentive. And I'm moving ahead with turning the first house to an owner, living owner, like it originally used to be, which will make a big difference all along Cedar Road and other rental properties, just like it used to be.
Okay. Mr. Epstein, thank you. Who from the city is prepared to address this matter?
I'm here. It's Howard.
Yes, Howard. What can you tell us about this project and the position of the city with respect to it?
It will create traffic from people picking up and dropping off.
It will not
Children.
create traffic, as I addressed that.
But Ms. Graham, let's let one person go at a time. I promise you'll have the chance to respond. Yes, Howard?
I mean, that's all I can really say, that you will be creating a traffic situation with people picking up and dropping off kids. And they do need approval from the city by state code in order to do a project like this and have that many children in the house.
Okay. Mr. Sunstein, do we have other type A facilities in the city of University Heights?
I am not sure. I do know we have a couple of group homes, but they're all within the allotted amount.
Right.
Corner of Taylor and Cedar, just east of the Tragmouth, I believe it is. There is
Yeah,
a
I was going to ask about that. That's a commercial property. That's not a
Right.
residential property.
Right.
So I was going to distinguish, if the answer was yes that we have, I was going to also ask which are commercial and which are residential based. So is the city only aware of the one down by Cedar Taylor?
I am not aware of any other ones.
Mr. Mayor, you walk the neighborhood 24/7. Could you be sworn in and address this?
Sure.
Do you swear the testimony you will give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. It's not necessarily on all fours to your question, Mr. Chair, but one thing I wanted to check here on is I know the Fire Prevention Bureau had concerns and or was looking at this particular issue. Was anyone from Fire Prevention notified of today's hearing? Have they been consulted with regard to this application?
Yes, I have worked with Andy.
Okay.
And, he says up to the board at this point.
Okay, so Executive Captain Boylan is deferring to the board on this.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I just want clarification on that for the record. Thank you.
The fire chief was at the house. I was there with him, and I think the commissioner came as well. They directed me to add some provisions for fire prevention, such as a 50-pound fire extinguisher, right next to the kitchen. There was some issues in the basement that they wanted me to make sure they're not there, like flammables and things like this. Those were removed. And everything that I was requested, I complied immediately, and he was satisfied.
Mr. Law Director, what are the criteria by which we should judge this application?
I believe the request is for a special use permit. That is an animal in our zoning code that allows the board discretion. You know, it is in essence a use permit. I believe the standard is under 124403 B, which talks about special permits. So the kinds of things that can be considered are whether the location, size, and character of the proposed use is such that it will be in harmony with the existing development of the district, not hinder or discourage appropriate future development and use of land and building in the vicinity or impair their value. If the proposed site is in a residence district, the proposed use will not result in hazard to pedestrian traffic, especially to children. And the height, bulk, and location of buildings and location of walls and fences will be in harmony with the residential community. Those are generally
The type A application that's being sought here, is that a University Heights or is that a state permit?
That's a state permit.
So this would be a gateway process for the state then coming in and inspecting the property and determining whether or not a permit should be granted. Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay.
May I address Howard's question before in regards to traffic?
Please.
So initially I did say that my parents have a specific drop off and pick up time that everyone adheres to. We have a 15-minute interval. So there has never been any form of obstruction of traffic. I have a parent on the call right now that can attest to that. Most of my families are within the University Heights area, so they don't even drive to drop off or pick up their child. They just get them in a stroller. So traffic would not be an issue.
Ms. Graham, how long have you been operating this business?
I have been doing it since January of this year, and I have a permit.
Okay. And you have a permit to operate a business in a residential district?
Yes, I did apply for the permit for the type B. And the fire department.
I was wondering, did you have a permit to operate a commercial business in a residential district in University Heights?
I am not familiar with the lingos. I know that I called in and whatever they asked me to do, I went ahead and got that done. So I'm not sure if there's something additional. I'm just going by whatever recommendations or requirements that were asked of me.
Mr. McConville, would a business permit be required?
Well, as I look at 1484.02, I think it's indicating that a child daycare service that, you know, meets those criteria is a permitted use.
Okay.
I can add for safety, safety and traffic, the apron in front of the garage in the back is wide enough for the cars to be turning around and head out towards Cedar. And the parents know how to do it and they turn around. I can turn my truck around in that apron. I drive a Tacoma. I can turn my Tacoma around and head out to the street, no problem. So a little car can do it, no problem.
Mr. McConville, another question. would it be possible for us to grant this variance, this special permit, subject to obtaining a police inspection, a fire inspection, and a building inspection of the property?
Yes.
Is that
Yeah,
something that the applicant would agree to? Ms. Graham, would you agree to that? If we were
Yeah.
to consider favorably a permit for, you would agree to allow a police inspection and fire inspection and a building inspection? Because
Yeah,
this
definitely.
this does appear to be new territory for us.
No, I have no problem with inspections.
And my understanding is that this is the first step in the state's certification. Would that require an in-home visit?
What would happen is if you guys give the approval, I would do the application to the ODJFS, and then from there they would proceed with the necessary assessment. State visit would be required.
I see. So
Yeah.
they could, my concern is child safety on a major street like that, and the city would be able to assess whether safety precautions were being followed.
No,
Correct?
the state would come in and,
Yes.
yeah, the state would come in and do all those assessments. And I think the fire department as well.
Okay, thank you.
The other thing that's worth mentioning here in terms of the board's discretion is that you may note that the request in the application is to allow for up to 9 children to be on site. The type A permit that the state would issue would actually allow up to 12. The city can be more restrictive in granting its special use permit to limit that occupancy to 9 if it's inclined.
And Ms. Graham, you've indicated that you are willing to limit it to 9.
Yeah, I wouldn't go up to the 12 anyways. No. It's just that most of my family that are requesting childcare, they have more than 1 child. So,
I see. Is there anyone else who's on this meeting who would like to speak to this matter? And just to clarify to the clerk could clarify that notice has been sent out to the neighbors for this application?
Yes.
Thank you. I will make a motion to approve the special permit to allow a type A in-home childcare with 4 conditions that the owner has indicated they would, that the occupant has indicated they would agree to. The first is that if the special permit is granted by the state, that the facility will not be used by more than 9 children. The second is that this granting of the special permit will be subject to a police inspection of the property. The third is that the granting of the special permit will be subject to a fire department inspection of the property. And the fourth and final condition is that the special permit will be subject to a building department inspection of the subject property.
I will second the motion.
But before we vote, can we clarify what the steps are in those approvals, whether or not the applicant needs to come back again, or is it automatically done once those inspections take place? Does she need to come back to us, or is it a matter of the record that the city then will handle for
The
her?
judge is now going to explain what a condition subsequent is. And that's
I would love to bounce that back off to you. It means that the conditions that we have required pursuant to this motion must be satisfied prior to the city issuing the I think we're doing a special permit, correct?
Correct. That's correct.
Okay, so the city would be in a way policing this determination that we have made. And the only way for the occupant to receive the permit, the final permit, would be for all of these conditions to have been met. Does that answer?
Yes, that's correct.
I wasn't asking for your legal opinion. I just wanted to make sure everybody as lay members are all on the same page.
Right.
You're describing that correctly. Typically, we monitor these things through our building department. So the building department would make sure that within a finite period of time, the inspections are conducted, and would require that the use not be expanded under the special use permit until we're in receipt of that type A license that's issued through ODJFS. So, I suppose the board can ask for an additional appearance if it wants to, but that's not typically the way we've done it in the past. We've run it through the building department. I think the other thing that's worth noting, just for purposes of the applicant's understanding, is that when we grant a special use permit, that permit has a duration of 1 year and is subject to renewal each year. And what typically happens at those renewal hearings is the board members ask questions of the building department as to whether there are any complaints with respect to the property, whether there are any building code violations that have been noted, whether there are any, traffic problems or other circumstances that the board should be made aware of. And if the answer to those questions is no, everything looks good, then the special permit is renewed, typically as a matter of course. But if there are problems, then we typically set the matter for hearing and would have you come back to the board and asking for a special permit again.
Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mrs. Jablonski,
Aye.
Ms. Manning,
Aye.
Mr. Jaffe,
Aye.
Mr. Califf.
Aye.
And with that, the special permit is approved, subject to the conditions as specified.
Thank
Thank
you.
Thank you.
The next item on today's agenda is item number 14, BZA 20-98, the address of 3794 Meadowbrook Boulevard. The applicant is NEO Fence Company. The property owner is Alex Greger. And this is seeking a variance to allow corner fencing to extend past the side of the house on the side street. I see the Gregors are here. Is there someone here from the fence company as well?
No, just us.
Okay, if the Gregors could please raise their hands and be sworn or affirmed.
Swear or affirm that the testimony you will give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes. Yes, I do.
So how have you liked your civil procedure lesson so far?
I mean,
It's been very interesting
yes.
listening.
Okay. So given that, now that you're experienced in Board of Zoning Appeal, what would you like to tell us about your application?
The goal is basically to fence the entirety of the backyard. We submitted a permit and got denied with Board of Zoning Appeals required based on the 1448.02C element where it extends past the corner of the house. The reasoning we want to extend past the corner of the house is we currently have a AC unit outside our back door that kind of is filling up a void that it's basically a non-usable space directly outside of our back door that we would like to move to the side of the house. Our understanding is to move to the side of the house, we need screening or fence to block it from the side street because we are a corner house. To do that all at once and have it cohesive and look nice for all the neighbors in the city, we are looking to kind of have the fence be extended prior to us kind of going through that other project.
I'm looking at the package of materials that you've provided, and it does include a survey from McSteen Land Surveyors. And that survey is dated December 20th, 2016.
That is our mortgage survey.
Okay. And so I will now ask the law director whether or not the mortgage survey, which is now almost 4 years old, is adequate for this application.
Well, I think you can elicit some testimony about whether there have been any changes to the dimensions of the property, but I would say that noting that it's 4 years old, it is a mortgage survey. They are typically reliable, and for a zoning application, this doesn't really give me any heartburn.
Okay. Ordinarily, our code provides that a survey must be obtained anytime a new fence is constructed. And so there is no new survey here, which should have been done. And I'm sorry that you probably weren't told that. Could you tell us?
We were, the fencing company that we are working with, and also we called the city and asked at the time, and they said the mortgage survey would be adequate. So we didn't take steps to do a updated or additional survey.
Okay, so let's clarify the record then. When did you buy the house?
December 2016.
And have there been any changes or improvements to the exterior of the house since you purchased it?
Basic landscaping improvements. So grass planted in areas that did not have grass, a couple of trees removed that were close to the foundation and affecting the house. And then we updated a retaining wall towards the rear of the property and the west side. Yeah,
okay.
West side of the property.
You updated a retaining wall that had previously existed? It wasn't a new wall?
Correct.
Okay. And I guess I can assume that Dysart Road hasn't moved since you've been living in the house. So is it your testimony then that the survey from 2016 accurately reflects the current condition of the property?
Yes.
Okay. Are there any questions from any other members of the Board of Zoning Appeal? Is there any motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the, I guess it is.
Before you go any further, I did receive a call from a neighbor who had concerns. Yes.
Okay, do we have a name or any specifics?
And she may be on the call, I don't know.
Oh, okay. Is there anyone else on this phone call who has any comments or would like to say anything regarding this application?
Well, I can let you know who it is. I see
Okay,
it.
Kelly, what did they say?
It was from the immediate neighbor, Karen Jackson. And she's on the other side of the fence, the retaining wall. And she had a concern that the fence, if it's on the hill, it won't be supported. And then her other concern was that she has a pool. She had a pool at one time. And when she removed the in-ground pool, the concrete stayed, the concrete foundation stayed so that it could support the hill. And she's just worried that there'll be, I guess, runoff from the fencing. I don't know if she was clear where the fencing would be. I did send her your picture, the updated picture you gave me. So maybe I iced her, I don't know.
Okay. If it's the same Karen Jackson who I know, her father is a former partner of mine and a client and friend. And so I just want to put that out there in the record. I have no personal knowledge of the property, though. I have not been to the property.
Yeah, I guess if I may, I can kind of support or kind of help argue that a little bit.
Please.
So her pool and fence around her pool does exist, but it's, I would say, catty corner to our property. It sits more or less directly behind the neighboring property, not directly in line with where the fence would be. It'd be kind of, I would say, almost the back corner of our property is kind of where the pool begins. And for the concern about the hillside, we're using Northeast Ohio Fence, who has been a contractor within University Heights for, I believe, several years. They've done fences throughout the city. They came out, did all their survey work or not survey work, but all their kind of inspections and everything, and had no major concerns with the hillside. They did mention they might use a 10-foot post instead of an 8-foot. They usually use like 8-foot posts, and they might use 10-foot posts. They go down further into the hillside. They mentioned that it would depend kind of when they go to install it, but they didn't have any other major concerns with the hillside.
Ms. Gregory, you're a professional designer?
I have worked in architecture and construction for years, yes.
Okay. By any chance, are you licensed with the city, University Heights?
I am not, no. That might take a few steps, right?
Is there a motion by any member of the Board of Zoning Appeal?
I'll make a motion to approve the variance allowing a corner fencing to extend past the side of the house on the side street.
I'll second. With the motion made and seconded, will the clerk please call the roll?
Mrs. Jablonski,
Aye.
Ms. Manning,
Aye.
Mr. Jaffe,
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Good luck with your project.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Thanks.
Okay, that concludes all of the new matters on our agenda for today, and we have several renewals that I'll go through quickly if that's... is there anyone else on the call with any new matters? Okay. Item number 1 for renewal is BZA 20-85. The applicant is Jeffrey Friedman at 4521 University Parkway, who is seeking to renew a special permit for a concrete pad. Any concerns or issues from the city?
None at all.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
I'll move to
I'll make-
approve.
Go ahead.
I'll make the motion to renew.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Will the clerk call the roll?
Mr. Jablonski,
Aye.
Ms. Manning,
Aye.
Mr. Jaffe,
Aye.
Mr. Califf.
Aye.
Item number 2, the motion is approved. Item number 2 is BZA 20-86. The applicant is Speedway Super America at 14458 Cedar Road to renew a special permit for ice dispensers located in front of the building and to display window washer fluid for sale to customers from November through February. No appearance is required. Any comments or concerns by the city?
None at all.
I'll make a motion to approve the special permit.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you both. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Jablonski,
Aye.
Ms. Manning,
Aye.
Mr. Jaffe,
Aye.
Mr. Califf.
Aye.
The motion is approved. Item number 3 is BZA 20-87. The applicant is BD Management at 14404 Cedar Road to renew a special permit to Papa John's Pizza for 1 year to allow a variance for a sign and a restaurant in the local retail district. No appearance is required. Any concerns or comments from the city?
Not at all. All's okay.
Excellent. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to renew the special permit.
I'll second.
Thank you both. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Jablonski,
Aye.
Ms. Manning,
Aye.
Mr. Jaffe,
Aye.
Mr. Califf.
Aye.
And that motion is approved. Item number 4 is BZA 20-88. The applicant is Diane Singer at 3874 Tyndall Road to renew a special permit for 1 year to allow a fence forward to the rear foundation line. Any comments or concerns by the city?
Nope. All good.
I'll make a motion to renew the special permit.
I'll second the motion.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Jablonski,
Aye.
Ms. Manning,
Aye.
Mr. Jaffe,
Aye.
Mr. Califf.
Aye.
That motion passes. Item number 5 is BZA 20-89. The applicant is Silsby Center Realty. This is regarding the Rascal House Pizza at 2255 Warrensville Center Road, seeking to renew a special permit to allow a full-service sit-down restaurant. Any concerns or comments from the city?
Nope.
Thank you very much. I will make a motion to renew the special permit.
Second the motion.
Thank you both. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Jablonski,
Aye.
Ms. Manning,
Aye.
Mr. Jaffe,
Aye.
Mr. Califf.
Aye.
That motion passes. Item number 6 is BZA 20-90. The applicant is Kelly Lott at 2387 Channing Road, seeking to renew a special permit for a fence forward of the rear foundation line. Any concerns or comments from the city?
Nope.
Thank you very much. I'll make a motion to renew the special permit. Is there a second? Thank you. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Jablonski,
Aye.
Ms. Manning,
Aye.
Mr. Jaffe,
Aye.
Mr. Califf.
Aye.
That motion passes. Item number 7 is the applicant, item number 7 is BZA 20-91. The applicant is Bruce Bell, who seeks to renew a special permit for a fence and gate 20 feet forward of the rear foundation line of the house. Any concerns or comments from the city?
Nope. All is good.
Thank you. I'll make a motion to renew.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you very much. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Jablonski,
Aye.
Ms. Manning,
Aye.
Mr. Jaffe,
Aye.
Califf.
Aye.
That motion passes. Item number 8 is BZA 20-92. The applicant is Timothy Hibbard at 2389 Charney Road, who seeks to renew a special permit for a fence forward rear foundation line. Any concerns or comments from the city?
Nope.
Thank you very much. Is there a motion?
I'll move to approve the renewal.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you both. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Jablonski,
Aye.
Ms. Manning,
Aye.
Mr. Jaffe,
Aye.
Mr. Califf.
Aye.
And that motion passes. Item number 9 is BZA 20-93. The applicants are Michelle and Jordan Kaminsky, who operate Mika's Wig Boutique at 2199 South Green Road, and are seeking to renew a special permit for 1 year to operate a retail store in a U6 district. Any concerns or comments from the city?
Nope.
I'll make a motion to renew the special permit.
I'll second. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Jablonski,
Aye.
Ms. Manning,
Aye.
Mr. Jaffe,
Aye.
Mr. Califf.
Aye.
The final item for today's agenda, I believe, is item number 10, BZA 20-94. The applicant is Kylar Smitty, who operates the Sauce Restaurant at 13888 Cedar Road, is seeking to renew a special permit for 1 year in order to allow an outdoor eating area. Any concerns or comments from the city?
Nope. Just a lot of traffic there.
What about the trash? I know I've called to complain with the city because the parking lot has been a mess. I don't know if the landlord has a sweeping company or not.
I was going to ask about trash, lighting, and signage. Have those all been taken care of?
It doesn't look as if the signage has.
It doesn't look like the signage has, and I'm not sure the lighting has either.
This has been going on for a couple years now.
I've not been by there at all at night, but they do seem to have a mess a lot of times at the parking lot. And I know people have stopped there and talked to them about it.
I'm going to make a motion that we table this application and
Yeah,
that the building department go out.
I would support that, Chair. I think the the sauce has had a lot of problems that I don't believe have been adequately addressed and remedied. And I think that needs further scrutiny.
I think we were trying to be considerate of a nascent business, but at this point, it's been there enough time, and I think that it warrants full inspection and follow up by the building department.
Yeah, I'm
So
not
I've
too
made
sure
a
how
motion to
often.
table.
Yeah, I'm not too sure how often they're getting their dumpsters picked up. Maybe they need to do that more often as well.
Building department, garbage, lighting, and signs. Those are our concerns.
Got it.
Very good.
And I think that it makes sense to invite the applicant to the next meeting.
Yes.
I think that's a very good recommendation. So the motion is to table. Is there a second?
I'll
Thank you. The motion is now seconded. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Ms. Shabansky,
Aye.
Ms. Manning,
Aye.
Mr. Jaffe,
Aye.
Mr. Califf.
Aye.
Thank you all for your patience with a long and significant agenda. Is there anything else? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you both. Will the clerk please call the roll on the motion to adjourn?
Ms. Shabansky,
Aye.
Ms. Manning,
Aye.
Mr. Jaffe,
Aye.
Mr. Califf.
Aye.
Have an excellent day, everyone.
Thanks, you too.
Everyone.
Stay safe and healthy.
Whatever you do, be well.